It's Champions League time here at Tenerife, but first a tussle with Sevilla and all of the remainder of the transfer window's news. We start with the outgoing of Sevilla, 4.2 million in total, not all of that up front. Irritatingly just shy of his release fee of 4.3, which other people did trigger in its entirety. He just didn't want to go to them for whatever reason. And if I'm remembering rightly, teams like Bologna offered more money per week for Sevilla and triggered that release fee. So this is super irritating. He's only gone for just shy of £19,000 a week as a backup at Sheffield United. We still get the entirety of that 4.2 million in cash, just not all of it at once. So can't feel too aggrieved at that for the sake of £100,000 there or thereabouts. I'm just annoyed that this transfer saga lasted so long. Well, the reason he got upset was because he wanted a new contract 1 year after he signed for us, and that's something I don't stand for. Obviously, I said no, wait, because I didn't know how the rest of the transfer window was going to pan out. I didn't know what kind of wages I'd have left. I didn't know what kind of wages he wanted, to be honest. And considering the wages he was declining at other clubs, I thought he was going to want about £30,000 or more. He didn't. Clearly, he would have been fine with that, I imagine, and that I would have probably given him. But Merit's here now, and Merit's better, so fine. You may remember I highlighted Reiko Iglesias in the last episode. Newcastle stole him from under my nose. I don't know fully what happened here. They put in a formal bid, which I obviously rejected. And then there was a bid that just came in and was auto-accepted. I think it said compensation on it, so it implies that they got him on an approach to sign, which doesn't make any sense if they put a normal offer in first and then just went, well, we'll sign him anyway, and here's the compensation. Well, no, the compensation is £675,000, which was way more than what they offered. We are getting quite a bit more in that regard, but it's a little annoying because I had no influence on this at all in the end, because I deliberately didn't give him a contract, because then that gives him a release fee, which people can trigger. As a youth player, he doesn't have that, but if they can sign them anyway, then I'm in a lose-lose situation here. The two ins at this stage are Matthias Ostrelek, who is agreed to be a squad player on £6.5 a week, which I think is really good value as things stand. He's at Hanover, I think, as the game starts. He might have already just left Hanover at the beginning of the game. He's a player I've had at Hanover. I've done offline Hanover saves in the past before I did content. So he's a player I do recognise. He's got attributes in a lot of decent areas. His natural fitness is 17. He's 32. Although he does say his acceleration and stamina is going down. That might be because of a recent injury. He's got the attributes in the key areas. Great work rate, good tackling, good marking, good crossing. Stamina's 15, pace and acceleration still way up there. Jump and reach and strength aren't great, but he's a left back. Some of the mentals aren't particularly good. He is a perfectionist, so it's a good personality to impart on younger players. Determination is high. Positioning, vision. The more technical of the mentals, if that makes sense, are the things that sort of let him down. The decisions, the concentration, that kind of thing. The effort side of the mentals, that's all there. And that's all you can really ask for in a squad player, because ideally he's going to be the backup for the next couple of years. Munoz might be moved on. As things stand, he is the best natural left back, I think. So the fact he's a squad and Munoz isn't might be a problem. But £600,000, he was transfer listed. And one of the key things is, in the performance he has had in this year's game, sevens there or thereabouts in terms of the performances. He had one appearance in the Bundesliga. He had one sub appearance in the Bundesliga last year and a 6.9 as a sub. I think he's a player that's under-star rated, in my opinion. So we had a little bit of money thanks to Severa going out, and I invested that money in Sekou Koita, which is a name you may recognise. I've had him before on this channel a lot later on in the game as a much older player, and he was responsible for one of the best moments in my Football Manager history. But I am hoping he's going to do slightly better for me as a younger player who can develop a little bit more. We've spent £8 million on him. He's worth just shy of that already. He's agreed to be a squad player, which is great because it means I can play him behind Araujo if necessary. But he's got the pace, he's got the mentals, he's 22, so if we do play him a little bit, hopefully he'll get that extra star's worth of potential he's got. I don't think we're going to make a massive profit on him or anything like that, but for the players that are around and on offer and available as a striker, permanent striker that actually belongs to us, I think we've done good here, if not sensational. He is left-footed as well. If you ever want to go two strikers, we can have one on the left and one on the right. And the best part of this, whilst he is African, he does have a European nationality to go alongside it, so he doesn't count towards non-EU. But that's it as things stand. We are fourth now because of the people that play games, and most importantly, we drew the last game against Levante. So we're not flawless. I haven't entirely broken the game, seemingly. We did draw this game. Eisfeld was injured very early on. Araujo with the goal again, as we now take on Sevilla. And the interesting thing, as a pressing forward, Sekou Koita has a lot of the good things in comparison to Araujo, except for aggression. Better bravery, better teamwork, better acceleration and stamina and all that jazz, but way worse aggression, which might be problematic. But Araujo's in form, Koita's a squad player, we can leave him on the bench for the time being. So we'll go into this one with a lineup of Merit in goal, Munoz, Quiros, Sotalo, Porro, Konyat, Antov, Monchu, Zukic, Gare, and Araujo up front. Sevilla, of course, another handy outfit here in La Liga, so it'll be interesting how we line up against them. They've got some good players. They've acquired some good players as well. Hateboer and Fernandinho, interestingly. Always bugs me I can't read my own thing. Elche are second. Not sure how or why Elche are second, but they are. So whilst we're doing really well, they have played their 6th game. Elche have 15 points out of their first 6 games. It's a little weird, but the game starts with a highlight for them. In the 12th minute, Jordan does some interesting moves there, and Sotalo clears that particular danger as Merit lumps that forward. Fernandinho is a hard name to say when you're rushing. Hateboer skips past that player. Nesri's there. Merit gathers with ease, apparently. Slightly disagreeing with the text, I think, on that occasion, because that didn't look that easy to me. Sotalo, Porro. Porro charges forward. Pedro Porro on the charge. Still going. Still going. Skips past that player. Still going. We won't talk about that. We won't talk about that finish. A couple of bookings for them early on. Sevilla did acquire Nacho from Real Madrid for a fairly nice fee, a fee that we would have been able to afford, in fact. So that would have been a good old pickup for us in our own regard. Nacho, I think, with the versatility, the centre-back quality. Does mean Diego Carlos is playing DM for them. Slightly interesting, I feel. Fernandinho on the ball here. Nesri out to Hateboer, who is quite a good fullback. Munoz doesn't get that ball. So there's a tight call. The 3D match engine didn't make that look like a tight call to me. He's not running to the box. The penalty is given immediately after review. Box stays for a little bit longer than possibly he should have. And Ocampos steps up and slams it in. No nonsense. It's his 5th goal of the season as well. He's on fire, is Ocampos. But yeah, well taken bounty there. Bottom left corner. Goalkeeper couldn't reach it. No shame in that. Shame in giving away the penalty, but no shame in conceding that penalty. That was an excellent spot kick. As this corner is punted out now. We should be taking that short, in fact. Porros hit the post. Archie will get on the end of it, but I suspect the post was the main part of that. It's actually half-time. Fairly dull game apart from the penalty in terms of the chances created. Didn't realise the penalty was actually on the 44th minute. We'll have to double-check my corner situation after the game. Not going to do it now. Suso. I feel like those corners should have been played short then. And Nesri, this is, well, I mean, that's super unfortunate. I'm glad he saved that because Porro did an excellent slide challenge there, but the possession just went straight to them. The loose ball went straight to them because Football Manager can't handle loose balls. But because Porro was on the floor, his left-back position was exposed, and it would have been incredibly harsh after an incredible defensive challenge there for him to have been at fault for that goal. Jordan to Nesri. There's a few people with quite poor performances here at the front end of our pitch. We're 1-0 down, but the performances, the ratings are not good for our players. We picked up a few cards now as well. They picked up a few early on, but now it's our turn to start collecting yellows. Hateboer, Konyat, speaking of, I'm worried about a red card here. He's kicked it back to Carlos, who does an unnecessary flare to pass it to a player who's 3 feet to his right. Suso, this is great passing play. Munoz has butchered that, and what? The combination of Munoz and Merit here isn't such a... The player just falls over, just following Fernandinho there as well, for good measure. One thing I don't understand there is Munoz's complete laissez-faire attitude to following Hateboer after he's been mugged off by him. He's just gone, oh, he's gone past. Oh, he scored. No attempt. No attempt at all. The worst part of that is he's one of the few players who isn't booked. Both of these two are coming off. And Koita's coming on, like changing all 3 of them. Changing all 3 of those front 3. Konyat moves forward. Collado, Koita, and Lopez come on for players that are coming off. I mean, I don't really think that's Araujo's fault. Perhaps that's 6.3. I just don't think he's had any service today. They've got a throw in. Fernandinho now. Marcos Alonso. I haven't seen a lot of Marcos Alonso in this particular game so far. But involved in this move at the very beginning, Oliver to Nesri. Missing a Y in that name, I now realise. Nesri? Koita's in. The raw pace of Sekou Koita could be... Nope. We'll demand more of this late on. There's not a lot I can do about it otherwise. We didn't have a single shot on target, which sums up this match entirely. Absolutely pathetic. And I'll be honest, it's the first time I felt truly annoyed at my team. Completely unacceptable, and exactly what we needed as we go to Milan midweek. Alright, Dodd. He's played 100 games. Good to know how low your expectations are for loyalty. Why is it every time you send your assistant to a press conference you immediately regret it? I was about to say no major surprises on day 1 of the Champions League, but there's one at the very bottom. The team that let go Christian Christensen are beating PSG 2-1. FC Copenhagen. 2 goals from Victor Fischer, who is Nowhere near as good in this year's game as he... Oh, actually, no, he looks all right this time. Here, he'd actually be a decent player for us at this quality. Neil scoring 5 against Benfica is possibly a little surprising as well. Actually, the most surprising part of that is Orsolini's gone to Benfica. He normally goes to a better Italian side. Or PSG. I've seen him go to PSG. They're a recruitment analyst, we had a space. And just a veteran goalkeeper, 2 stars. We have a space for another goalkeeper, basically. Because Christian Christensen's under 19, he doesn't need to be registered. So for 5k a week, worst case scenario, Jakubovic exists. Quality, if not physical. But of course, part of Leicester's squad, a while back, and Hull, maybe a recognisable name. Barely played football, let's be real, except in the early days. Surprisingly good technicals for a goalkeeper who's barely played. Disappointed about signing him, but feels he could be surplus to requirements. We literally have one space for a goalkeeper. That's what he's here for. He's essentially like us registering Petr Cech. Worst case scenario, he's here. Worth noting that player was going to be Handanovic, but now he wants to be a staff person. Did get him in on trial, he wanted £50,000 a week. Technically, he's still a better goalkeeper than Merritt. Right, I forgot to take Christensen out of the B team for this match. So now I don't have a backup goalkeeper for this particular game, which I might have been tempted to for the bench. Tell you what, you do the comparison between Ostrolek and Munoz as a wingback there. The box on the left, Munoz, worse in everything except dribbling. He's also reacted badly to the last press conference. He's still asking to leave. He wants a new contract. He's not getting one. Ostrolek comes in. He's not at full fitness, but can't be as bad as Munoz was in that last game. So we're going to allow a little bit of rotation, but not so much that makes us actually any weaker. Merritt, Ostrolek on the left, Quiros, Sitalo, Porro, Sassi in for Konya, Antov, Monchu, Gallardo in for Zukic, Gary, and Araujo up front. Zukic back to being returned to fitness rather than just full fitness. Hate it when that happens. The 3 changes, but 3 changes that don't make us any worse. I hate how well-rounded that Inter Milan team is. I think the weirdest part of that Inter Milan team is Vestergaard on the bench. They've got Mbabu, who is a perfect backup to Hakimi. Gosens is probably the best left-back in the game, in my opinion, in terms of performance. Marlon to add to Lukaku in replace Martinez. And Esposito's developing on the bench as well. God, that's a good team. Yeah, and there it is lined up. Sensi in the middle, Barella, Brozovic. That's a strong midfield. I swear Inter Milan signed Milinkovic-Savic. So he must be injured, or I'm getting my saves mixed up. One thing to note about Sporting, who are in our group, of course, is that they are bottom of the Portuguese league at the moment. They've had an absolute rotten time of things at the start of this particular season. Of course, they've got arguably the best left-back on paper in the game. I do think Gosens is better in terms of performances from what I've seen. I haven't really seen Nuno Mendes play that much. But Gosens, week in, week out for me at Napoli, I signed him for Napoli. He was so good as Lukaku skips away from Sitalo and every other player. What? How have we not got the ball there? I know how good Lukaku is. He's insane in this year's game. But one tackle there, he ends up with the ball again. He just walks past that defender. Another fantastic tackle, ends up with the ball again. That's the exact thing I hate possibly most about this year's Football Manager. Great tackles, 95% of the time go unrewarded. Sule deals with that ball. Sule's always listed in this year's game as well. I'll never understand that particular one. Sitalo, Pedro Porro, still Pedro Porro. Araujo's there, it's blocked, possibly the highlight. Continues though, Porro again. Tackled by Gosens, and Brozovic have it. So losing to Sevilla brings up actually something I wanted to talk about anyway. With the way this season started, I was slightly worried we were going to start winning trophies in the season 3. You know, Spanish Cup perhaps might have been an option. La Liga was looking like an option after beating Atletico Madrid away from home. It seems to have stabilised now, thankfully, because I was somewhat worried about falling into a similar issue that I had with Sheffield United, of course. We won the Premier League there, and then it became just a case of when will we win the Champions League, and that was one of the main reasons why I ended that particular save. This is such a good move, Marlon deserves that goal. But this year seems to be falling back a little bit now, as we lose to Sevilla and lose to Inter Milan. Admittedly, Inter Milan, like I say, a ridiculously good side. And we've only lost 1 match in the Liga as things stand. But I do feel like we're in a different situation in the Liga because Real Madrid, you saw last year, Real Madrid was so far better than everyone else. Atletico, I think, are possibly easy enough to catch within a year or 2. Barcelona have started badly and aren't doing particularly well this year either. Very early doors, but that's well cleared. It's very early doors on that front, but Barcelona, I think, not quite at the same race as Real Madrid and Atletico were last year, safe to say. And I don't think they are this year either. But Real Madrid, I suspect, are probably going to be the toughest nut to crack so far. I think at Sheffield United, we exploited a very poor season from every other major side, because the following year, we were a little bit off the pace in second. But we're on the ball here, our Tenerife. Nope, that was worth a highlight, apparently. Concerning. I don't think we've been terrible here. Like, I've sort of let the game play in the background a little bit, but they've had 3 shots on target. We've had 2 shots on target. They've just taken their chances and we haven't. Gary having another shocker. But Monchu on a corner. That's been whipped in, and I'm not really sure why we've attempted to do a corner into the box against an Italian side with very strong physical centre-backs, but never mind. Antov. Just literally anyone run after that ball would have been nice. I feel like you could genuinely see the match engine trying to work out what to do there. You could see it calculating who should get to that ball first, as nobody went for it at all. Anyway, they're playing this ball irritating well. I mean, Gary's had another shocker. Kayado's on a 6.2. They've hit the post. We've cleared it. I don't really have the players available for this one. I'm only going to make those two changes. But away from home at Inter Milan, away from home at Dortmund, I'm not expecting much either. The home games I feel like we could possibly get something out of. The sporting games, both of them, I feel like we can get something out of. Particularly with how poorly they've started in their home campaign. They've scored from a set piece. That's the least surprising thing about this game so far. De Vrij, there we are, got there in the end. Zhikos comes on for Ostrolek, which is one of the hardest substitutions to pronounce so far. And yeah, it feels like Inter Milan have just turned the screw in their second half. You see, at half-time, it wasn't too much between us. They just scored and we hadn't. Then second half, wham, off they go. Horrible result, all things considered. Guillermo Mendoza appears to be in a completely different dimension. We were in complete control today, kept the ball brilliantly, poor result, but a great performance. We lost 3-0. Could have been worse, could have been Fenerbahce. As I said last time around, we're definitely covering the Real Madrid Sporting last two before the Qatar World Cup. So it's going to be Dortmund, it's going to be whichever one I feel like. Probably the home one. I feel like after the away Dortmund game, we're going to have a bit more of a better complexion of how this is going to pan out. So I think we're going to do probably Vallecano and Dortmund, just to provide a bit more gap between the games. So yeah, I feel like that's the first time you've seen us lose 2 games in an episode. Sevilla, on paper, you'd say away at Sevilla, losing 2-0 isn't a bad result, but the way things have been going, that's a bit of a surprise. It genuinely is. Inter Milan losing 3-0, I think they're a different caliber. I think Inter Milan are of the caliber of Real Madrid and Atletico. Although we did beat Atletico, so you never know. You never know with this team and the way they played. But I will see you for the remainder of these Champions League games. Until next time, ta-ra.